In this video, I'm going to talk about how I plan for adventure motorcycling trips, focusing on bike preparation and gear. My goal, as always, is to plan trips that are fun, rewarding and safe, and all of that begins with proper preparation and planning. Coming up. First things first, you got to make sure that your bike is fit for purpose and running well. So of course you should be taking care of your own checks. You should be making sure your fluids are topped up. That would be your brake fluid, oil, coolant, and so on. Make sure that your tires are in good condition. Making sure that all of your lights work, of course, but it would also be worthwhile taking your bike in before you leave to have a professional checkup at your shop. Last thing you want is to get stuck in the middle of nowhere with your bike breaking down, knowing you could have had it checked out before you left. One area where you definitely don't want to skimp is on your personal protective equipment, your gear, what you're going to wear when you're out on your trip. So spend as much as you can comfortably afford on quality gear. You want to be getting a decent jacket, pants, your helmet of course, gloves, boots, and don't forget about your base layers. For me, I typically wear sports style synthetic fabric shorts under my pants. Can certainly help with preventing chafing and the discomfort that comes with being in the saddle for many hours. Similarly, I'll also wear a synthetic fabric top that will be long sleeve or short sleeve depending on the weather. You don't have to wash them quite as frequently with that kind of fabric. And lastly, just think about maybe bringing one or two spare balaclavas or neck gaiters depending on what you are comfortable wearing. These of course can serve also as a hat if necessary. You can use them as a towel. You can use them to put your lunch on. They have a million different uses. You're inevitably going to need to do some repairs on your bike if you go on a longer trip. So a carefully thought out and easily accessible toolkit is critical for any trip that you might be doing. I'll make another video in more detail going through it piece by piece. In terms of electronics and navigation, for most places in the world, you can really get away with just a mobile phone, maybe running a GPS app on the phone. Recently, I've been using Gaia GPS. It takes a little getting used to, but once you're comfortable with the UI, it's a really great tool for navigation. Of course, you can also use a standalone GPS unit. For longer trips, you would be well advised to bring a satellite communication device as well. I've been using this Garmin InReach device. It's small, it's compact, it hooks on to anywhere on your clothing or on your luggage, and you can also use it to check the weather in your area. If you're going to be camping on your trip, of course you need to bring all of your equipment with you. You're of course going to want to bring a tent. You could go with a one-person tent. I typically use a two-person tent because they're still small and compact, but they do allow some amount of space on the inside to stash all of your gear when you're in the tent overnight. Think about your sleeping bag for the conditions that you're going to be in. You don't want to have a sleeping bag that isn't rated high enough if you're going to be in cold weather, but similarly you don't want to be in a tent that's rated too high if you're going to be in warm weather. And also think about your sleeping mat. The mat itself serves as insulation. If you're in a cold environment, it doesn't really matter how good your sleeping bag is if your mat isn't up to the task. The layer of the sleeping bag that you lie on is going to be compressed and really won't be effective at all as an insulator. And that's where your mat takes over. The mat itself has to be a decent insulator to keep you warm overnight. In terms of cookware, again, the name of the game is compact and light. I've been using this set from Amazon for a while now, and it's actually served me really well. There's no need necessarily to buy a super expensive cookware set. This one folds up really small, really tight into a neat little package. It screws onto your propane tank. These arms extend to put your pot on top of, and it's got this nice little clip-on leg set that helps keep it stable. And in terms of utensils, you really don't need anything more than just a plastic spork or some lightweight utensils. It's worthwhile bringing some water filtration system with you. That can be tablets or some kind of filtration device. Consider also bringing a collapsible water storage container. I've been using this one. It folds down, again, really small and tight, but it opens up into a decent sized container and you can just carry some water with you if you need it. And last but not least, don't forget a headlamp or a flashlight. Now coming up next, I'm going to talk about luggage systems and some of the stuff that you might want to put in them. And later on, I'll give you a tip that will really help you out before you even set out on your trip. And in the meantime, if you're enjoying this video, head on down the bottom there and hit subscribe. Motorcycle luggage is always going to be a personal preference. For me, I've gone with this dry spec luggage kit. These are soft bags. They've served me really well over the last few years. I have these two pannier bags and then a larger top bag. And on my bike, I also have these crash bar mounted side bags that are really useful for putting my lock, small items, a hat, some sunglasses in, that kind of thing. You might also consider a tank mounted bag, although personally I find them a little bit bulky and intrusive. Keep all of your documentation in an easy to access location on your bike. So make sure that you can quickly get at your license, your registration, your insurance. If you're traveling internationally, of course, you should have your passport with you. And in some countries, you might need to have an international driver's license. One of the great things about traveling on a motorcycle is that it allows you to have an intimate connection with the places that you're traveling to. So there's no real need to bring a lot of prepackaged food or camping food, dehydrated food with you. You should be out there sampling all of the local delicacies, all the amazing foods that you're going to encounter on your travels. But you might consider bringing just a couple of dehydrated packages of food, just in case you're out in the middle of nowhere and you need something to eat. And definitely bring some prepackaged, non-perishable snacks and of course plenty of water, more water than you think you'll need. So I'll leave you with a tip that'll really help before you set out on your trip. Make sure you load up your bike with everything you're going to take with you, all of your camping gear, even the food and the water. Test pack your bike and take it out for a decent ride before you leave. Make sure that you're familiar with the way that the bike responds and behaves with the additional weight of your gear on it. Click on the screen to see more of my motor camping videos and head on down the bottom there and hit subscribe. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.